seen how much this particular stock has moved since the listing of the company on the Uganda Securities Exchange back then in December 2021. And someone may be wondering, what are some of the factors that could have moved away, of course, moved the market the way they have been moved? Of course, there's so many factors that could be beyond our own understanding or our own scope here on the show. But one of them is the fact that when MTN came on the Uganda Securities Exchange, first of all, there was convenience that was brought on the exchange, with the fact that many people were able to buy shares without having to go, fill in paperwork, and it was easy. It was easy, first of all, to open the SCD account, that is the Security Central Depository, where you keep your shares, or where you're able to keep track of how the transactions are off your account and to maybe the exchange, and to buying into shares like we have seen on the Uganda Securities Exchange. And this convenience, I have to say, it was the first time people could see this. People couldn't believe 10, maybe even 7, 8 years ago that you could actually be able to open an SCD account without going onto the internet. Right now, it's possible. And when we talk about the SCD account, we are talking about the Security Central Depository account, which basically gives protection to your shares, to your other securities that you're buying into, maybe treasury bonds or bills, because these are not kept on bank accounts. They're kept on a special account known as the Central Securities Depository, which is, of course, under the Registry Department of the Uganda Securities Exchange. And we have had someone from the registry here on the show before talk extensively about the matter of registration and how important it is. Now, I dare you really, if you think this is so hard, it will cost you not even a single coin. It will not actually inflict anything on your mobile money, on your it will not inflict anything on your MTN airtime. All you have to do, if you're an MTN subscriber, you dial *165*65#. Now, when you do that, they'll give you an option where you need to put either your passport number or your national identification card number, that is your NIN number. And when you do put that NIN number, the exchange will be able to capture the data on your national identification card, including your date of birth, including your names. You won't have to fill in any of that stuff. And when you do that, they will, of course, give you some time to, of course, also choose a stockbroker and so on. But your account will be opened for you at the exchange, and they'll send you a notification to show that you have been able to open the account with your account number stipulated therein, and you will be able to own an account for free of charge. This is the convenience that this particular stock brought to the market, and I think we are thankful that MTN is on the stock market and is doing what it is doing. Talking about innovations, many innovations are coming up with stockbrokers, coming up with different ways you can be able to buy and sell stock, coming up with different arrangements in as regards accessing their services as stockbrokers. Altex East Africa, which is an exchange, of course, under Altex, which is a bigger company from South Africa, they are together with Altex Clearing, coming up with an initiative they have called Zabu. Now, with Zabu as well, you can be able to purchase debt instruments, that is bonds and bills, here in Uganda, across East Africa, in Kenya, Tanzania, and so on. For example, right now, the Kenyan election has cost Kenya lots and lots of billions of dollars, and these millions of dollars, and these, of course, are coming from borrowing. And these bonds and these bills are what the government is running to, because apparently we can no longer handle the debt because you're seeing that the debt, the foreign debt, is actually eating up most East African countries. So governments are resorting to local borrowing, and whereas the local the local lenders. It is you and me. We can buy these instruments, we can buy the bonds and be able to lend to these governments, and they are able to run and pay us back with a little more interest on what we were able to invest. So Altex East Africa is also giving you that similar chance that MTN gave you last year, but this time you can buy securities in the debt market. When we talk about the debt market, like I've said, it comes from debt, that is borrowing and lending. And we can lend to government, we can lend to corporate bodies, but in this particular program, we are focusing on lending to governments because that is one of the safest ways to go. And in the financial markets, it is claimed that debt instruments are the safest. And some people claim they're almost 100% risk-free because a government can hardly ever default on their promise to pay back. So right now with Altex East Africa as well, you can dial star 16512 story star 292 hash, and under this initiative you will be able to buy or sell bonds across East Africa. And it is using your MTN mobile money. If you have some money on your mobile money, that is when you can do these transactions. When you choose buy or sell, you can choose, of course, the products there. You can choose also to learn more about the products. They have different bonds of different years and categories, ranging from 3 years, 5 years, 10-year bonds, and so on. You can then input the amount of money you're using to buy. You don't have to buy all the bonds therein. You just have to buy as much as you can afford, and then you put in your PIN code and they'll send you a notification. Markets at Altex East Africa open at exactly 8:15 a.m. and close at 3:15 p.m. And that is Altex East Africa, helping you to do something new with your life. These innovations, of course, are backed by the fact that Ugandans and people around East Africa are realizing how important it is to trade with financial markets, to save first of all and invest some of that money for the future, because we saw what happened in the pandemic. People panicking without savings. People had only invested in probably businesses which were closed then, but the financial markets don't close. Okay, yes, they do close on a daily, but they never close for a week. They close for a few hours and they're open again, and they're regulated. There are things you don't have to wake up in the morning and go work on. These are passive sources of income, and that is exactly what we are talking about. Now, back to the stock market as it was yesterday. We are seeing that MTN traded a good volume, but also came out as a loser at 185. This means you need to go out and be able to buy some of this stock, because I bet tomorrow we will come back here and MTN could have been one of the top gainers once more. The settling time for buying shares is about 3 days, or buying any instruments on the Uganda Securities Exchange is about 3 days. So if you're buying today, don't be shocked when you see your shares on your SCD account on Friday, because that is exactly the amount of time that is required to process your transaction. And so even with selling, you will still find the same thing. You find you sell today and you find the money maybe on your account on Friday as well. That is the settlement time in there to give us time to settle accounts, and the stockbrokers also to do their role as stock brokers. Let's look at Stanbic. Stanbic Bank Uganda yesterday came out as a loser, and Stanbic Bank is a bank that has been here in Uganda for quite some time and is part of the leading financial services company, financial services institute or group called the Standard Bank, that is based in South Africa. And this, of course, was licensed under the Uganda Financial Institutions Act in 2004. The bank was founded in Uganda as National Bank of India back in 1906, and after several changes, it became Grindlays Bank. When the Standard Bank Group bought the Grindlays network in Africa, it also bought the Grindlays network in Africa. And of course, in October 1993, that is when it was re-established in Uganda as Stanbic Bank. Stanbic Bank operates over 71 points of representation and a growing network of automated teller machines, currently numbering up to 111 automated teller machines. The bank is located all over Uganda, and you can find the branches all over Uganda. And Stanbic's head offices are found at Crested Tower, just along Nile Avenue. And Stanbic Bank has been listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange since the 25th of January 2007, meaning you've had it for about 15 or more years actually on the Uganda Securities Exchange trading under the ticker symbol SBU. And Stanbic Bank Uganda trades under their International Securities Identification Number. This is the number you can use to identify a counter, to identify a security on the exchange. And that number is for Stanbic UG000386. The Stanbic Bank of Uganda currently, in terms of value, is the 5th most valuable stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, with a total market capitalization of 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings, which is about 4.8% of the entire Uganda Securities Exchange equity market there. Yesterday, they ended the day with the price of 21 Ugandan shillings, and there was no change in price, so there was no movement in price. However, they had a traded volume of over 10.2 million shares that was traded on the Stanbic counter yesterday. And the total amount of money, that is the gross turnover of these shares, was over 214 million Ugandan shillings. Now, when you look at the shares outstanding, currently they have about 51.2 billion shares, and their market capitalization, when you multiply that 51.2 times the 21 Ugandan shillings, which you're seeing there as the market price closing yesterday. SBU, by the way, is the code for Stanbic Bank Uganda. So when you're talking about Stanbic, we're talking about SBU. And we're seeing that they have over about 1.07 trillion Ugandan shillings worth of market capitalization. SBU closed their markets at 21 Ugandan shillings per share. However, Stanbic began the year with a total price of about 26 Ugandan shillings. That's how they began the year, but have since lost about 19.2% of that price valuation, and they are ranked number 12 in terms of year-to-date performance. Stanbic Uganda is the 3rd most traded stock on the Uganda Securities Exchange, and that is of course after MTN MTN comes in the 4th position after Stanbic in the 3rd position over the period of the last 3 months, that is May 3rd to August 8th, 2022. Stanbic has traded a total of 18.7 million shares that are valued at 402 million Ugandan shillings over the period, with an average of 297,503 shares that are traded per session. And a volume high of 10.2 million shillings has been achieved over this period during yesterday's trading on 8th. And when you look at the trading Stanbic Bank Uganda statistics, you see that yesterday, before the 10.18 million they traded, they had on 4th some trading of 17,700 shares. They had another trading of over 692,000 shares within the same week, about another trading of 120,000 shares, and so on. That is Stanbic Bank counter trading for you. Why is this important? Again, because you need to know how the counters are performing based on activity. You need to know how many shares they have at the moment, what are the volume highs they have sold. Can I be able to also sell or buy such big volumes? if I'm interested in buying big volumes. So you can see this very interesting market activity here yesterday. Probably you can say a couple of people or someone could have bought all these 10 million shares at once, and they were worth over 244 million Ugandan shillings. That is a Stanbic counter for you. And we have seen that based on the performance here, they are ranked number 3 in terms of most traded on stocks. Of course, given this recent activity that we have seen within the last 3 months or so. And they have competitors on the market. We can compare also companies based on their competitors who are dealing within the same sector. These include Equity Bank Limited. Equity Bank Limited at 2.11% year-to-date loss is still doing better in terms of year-to-date. But when you look at the market cap, still it has a high market capitalization of over 5 trillion. And the closing prices for Equity Bank are quite higher than those of Stanbic, about 1,500 per share. While for Stanbic, you only have 21 shillings per share. So it's giving you a little much more cheaper stock for the same amount of shares. You can see here you can only buy, for example, with 1,500 you can buy several shares in Stanbic, but you can only buy one with that in equity. KCB, likewise, we still have a very much higher price of over 1,322, and then for the capitalization, they're standing at about 3.95 trillion. So it's not much of difference there. And you can compare it with all the other stocks. But I can say that Stanbic Bank Uganda is also a tradable stock. And if you're looking for a very affordable stock, they're only trading at 21 shillings, really. MTN is trading at 185, but these are trading at 21 shillings. So with that 21,000, you're planning to spend on probably hair, or you're planning to do maybe some extra shopping for groceries, you can decide to sacrifice it and buy shares in Stanbic Uganda. You'll be able to buy over 1,000 shares with 21,000 shillings or even less for this particular counter here on the stock market. One of the things that we look at is affordability as well on the stock market. Yes, some stocks are very good, they perform wonderfully well sometimes, they appreciate very quickly, but they're expensive. You find a stock like British American Tobacco at 15,000. Now you can imagine, people can hardly part with 15,000 for probably lunch or something, and this is how much just a single share costs. So meaning if I need probably 100 shares, I'll need about 1.5 million. Yeah, if I need 10 shares, I'll need about 150,000. That's a lot of money sometimes, but also depends. Some people can afford that, but if you cannot, yes, we are seeing that you can actually be able to afford at least stocks, for example, in Stanbic Bank Uganda. They're quite affordable and something that you can consider as a student, as someone who is starting up, or as even a seasonal investor who really wants to invest in huge amounts of volumes. You want to see that you buy maybe 1,000, 1 million shares at 2.1 million. You can be able to buy stock at Stanbic Bank Uganda. That is it for you for Stanbic Bank Uganda. The market is open, remember, right now. It opens at 9 a.m. and closes at exactly 1 p.m. And that is East African Standard Time for you to be able to being able to open and of course trade on your Central Securities Depository account or Securities Central Depository account is a very key factor to your success. And the stockbrokers are available. You can dial *165# to get access to some, or you can visit their websites by going to the internet and looking for licensed stockbrokers. There are only 4 in Uganda, only 4, not much more than that, at least at the moment. Those that are licensed by the Capital Markets Authority. Number 1, we have SPG Securities and Stanbic Bank, of course, and this is a subsidiary of Stanbic Uganda Holdings. And we're seeing Also, we have UAP or mutual stockbrokers. We also have Baroda. No, Baroda actually closed. We only have now Dyer and Blair Investments and Crested Capital as the stockbrokers on the stock market. And these will help you not only to be able to buy and sell stocks, but they will help you, get updates, get a statement on every single day of trading. You will see how your shares have been able maybe to make money for you, or if you have traded anything. If you want to trade anything, of course, you go out and reach out to them and say, I want to sell, I want to buy more, and they will be able to do the needful for you. Of course, with an assessment of you as a customer, assessing your risk appetite, assessing how your interests as an investor, where you want to invest. They always consult you before doing anything, and these stockbrokers are licensed. They know exactly what they're doing, and they are going to help you so much when it comes to dealing with the stock markets. They're regulated by the boss himself, the regulator, that is the Capital Markets Authority. That is a body, of course, also mandated by the government of Uganda to regulate this entire space. And if you want to do a business that is unregulated, that is one of the highest form of risk, because whenever anything wrong happens, there's nowhere you can run to. But here, when you come on the stock market, there are regulators, there are people like government of Uganda, but above all, the Capital Markets Authority of Uganda, headed by Mr. Kalyugira Faith. They will be able to give you guidance on how to navigate these markets and be able to grow your savings by investment. When we talk about the stock markets and the debt markets, we also bring in the factor of the unit trusts or the collective investment schemes. These are also regulated by the Capital Markets Authority, and these usually you have, for example, a group of investors who would want to invest in several ventures, and you bring together your money, you put them in a pool, and they invest this money at once. Because you imagine investing in a bond of over 180 billion, and you only have 100,000. And the coupon rate, yes, the coupon rate maybe is 17%. If it's 17%, you're going to earn about 17,000 every after 6 months. Yeah? But now imagine you have 100,000, someone else has 200,000, someone else has 100,000, another one has 200, 300, 500, and you get all these monies, put them together, make $1 billion shillings. When you make this $1 billion shillings, you invest this $1 billion shillings at once in the bond. You buy the bond of $1 billion shillings, and then guess what? How much interest do you expect back? You expect about 17 million. Yes, roughly around that. If it's about 17%. So you realize that, of course, is a bigger share. Actually, you might find it's about 170 million. If I told it's $1 billion shillings, because you're looking at 17%, which is I'm just giving an example. And so when you get that 170 million and then share it out amongst the different people, depending on how much each deposited, if we realize they get more returns, each of them. So this is what the unit trust brainchild was all about. Having someone who is not able to buy the financial markets, financial instruments in bulk, come together with other investors of common interest, and they purchase the fund managers. These are usually called fund managers who manage collective investment schemes, invest on your behalf. They invest into the stock market, they invest into the treasury bills and bonds and so on, and they give you a whole package at once, and they give you, of course, the return that comes on every single piece of those monies. That is the beauty and innovativeness of the stock market, of course, regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. We are going to go into a very quick break. We'll return with, of course, winding up the Uganda stock market, looking at a couple of other traders here and there. And in the final segment, we're going to cross over to Kenya and also have a look at how their stock markets are doing, especially during the heat of the election. Stay with us. We'll be right back.